Hello, it's Rob from Fountain Pen Journey. As promised, I have a bit of a brief ink review. The ink in question is Krishna Jungle Volcano. Now, I absolutely love this ink. It's got the most wonderful deep orange, dark orange colour. But it's got this amazing green sheen and it looks spectacular. I have been using it inside a cartridge. I've filled the cartridges in these pens, by the way. I have been using it inside a cartridge in this Kaweco Ice Sport yellow with a medium nib. I wanted to see just exactly how much sheen I could get out of Krishna Jungle Volcano in a broader nib. So what I've also got here is a Kaweco Frosted Sport Mandarin with a double broad nib. Now, I'll have to state that I'm going to use rhodia paper for this little experiment, but I have been using my, I think this is, yeah, here we go, Staples A4 pad, and I find that a lot of inks actually perform really well. These things are cheap, it's cheap paper, but inks do perform really well on them. Now, I have a writing example here using the double broad nib with Krishna Jungle Volcano, and very disappointed. There is virtually no green sheen showing up in this ink at all with the double broad nib on this paper. So I'm going to try it on the rhodia notepad here. Excuse me, I'll have to try and write over the top of the camera. So we'll start off with the medium nib. Now, this is still drying. I'll move over to the double broad nib. Excuse the camera wobbling around. Now, that's laid down quite a lot of ink, so this is probably going to take quite a little while to dry. You can see how wet that double broad nib is. The medium nib has actually dried. Now, rather disappointingly on rhodia, the medium hasn't really shown up any sheen whatsoever. There's no green sheen visible. There's a small amount in the horizontal stroke of the A, but nothing spectacular. Just blow on the ink a bit, try and get it to dry. I'm beginning to suspect that this ink is a little bit hit and miss, depending on the type of paper you use. I'll try and find a, actually no, I'll tell you what, let's do a little bit of a writing sample with the medium. So that's the medium. Just do a little bit with the double broad just to illustrate what happens or what doesn't happen. Huge pull of ink there. There we go. It's going to take quite a while to dry. So going back to this. It's very, very nearly dry. And on the road here, try and get this. Ooh, there we go. That big patch of ink there is almost dry. This here is exhibiting just a tiny bit of green sheen. So yeah, this, there we go. There's a bit on the A there. But I suspect with the double broad nib, this is actually laying down so much ink that the darker orange colour is now beginning to mask some of the green sheen. Medium on the road here is showing up very, very little of that sheen. But yeah, there we go. Starting to show up now. There we go. This big patch of ink has got the green sheen around the edges. So, Krishna Jungle Volcano. It is very specific on the paper that you use. See how this is doing. Medium, not really showing up too much. Not really, no. A little bit of a disappointment. But that's still wet. Be interesting to see how that big heavy patch from the double broad nib shows up when it eventually dries. So yeah, as I said, Krishna Jungle Volcano is one of the heavily sheening inks that Krishna produce, and it is really one of my favourite inks right now. I don't know what it is, I just happen to think that the name is very adequate. It's a red orange dark ink, but not too dark so it's not colourful, and I really, really like it. The green sheen is wonderful, but it does seem to be a little bit hit and miss. I mean, it's really not showing up on the camera very well, and there's hardly any green sheen shown up this time. There we go, the crosshatch here. That is now showing the green sheen, and you can see just a bit green metallic sheen. This is going to take forever to dry, this bit here. Just keep blowing on it. It might dry by the time this video doesn't go into hours, but yep, you can see the green sheen is starting to develop there. So yeah, between Krishna Jungle Volcano and Krishna Sea at Night, which is a very dark blue shading ink, really, really good inks. Very, very impressed with these two Krishna inks. I've only tried a couple of other ones from Krishna which aren't the sheening type. One is Halloween Orange, which is just a very nice dark pumpkin orange, and Krishna Wild Cherry, which is quite a muted pale cherry pink, with a hint of sort of purple in it, which is very nice. It's not very saturated, but it's a very nice ink to write with. But even though Krishna Jungle Volcano does seem to be a little bit temperamental, hit and miss on certain types of paper, and certainly depends very much on the nib. So it's that, holy trinity of pen, nib, ink and paper. Trying to find that level. But Krishna Jungle Volcano is a very, very nice ink. Some people have commented that it does seem to clog pens a little bit. I would also agree with that. I've used Krishna Jungle Volcano in this medium Kaweco Ice Sport, and there have been times when the ink has stopped giving any sheening properties and it's just turned into a fairly basic orange. And you give the pen a little bit of a roll around and it gets the ink inside the cartridge or whatever filling system you've got agitated a little bit, and then it seems to flow a lot better. It usually also seems to burp a little bit because the feeder's got a little bit clogged in the pen, and then it releases a load of ink. It's not terrible, but it is something that other people have experienced. I've experienced it myself, so there are one or two flow issues, but they are what I would say relatively minor flow issues for the fun of writing with this ink. So it is a great ink from that point of view. It's not one of these things that clogs your feed and you can't write with it. So let's have another look at this writing. I'm seeing very little sheen, and it's not at all showing up over the camera. The double broad, let's get the crosshatch. And the crosshatch, now that's dry, doesn't appear to be showing very much green sheen at all. The big patch of ink that I laid down, you can just about see the edges. It's still wet. So this double broad nib is very, very wet, very juicy. And the squiggles there, yeah, you can see the green sheen in there. That second from the left, that squiggle is still wet, it's still drying, but the other bits are dry. If we get the angle right, may be able to pick it. There we go. You can see the green sheen there. So yeah, that's what you can expect under ideal conditions. Very, very nice green sheen. So Krishna Jungle Volcano definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Very nice ink. Let's go back to the Rhodia pad, and yeah, unfortunately it's quite disappointing really on the Rhodia pad. It seems to have absorbed almost all of the green sheen into the paper. It's just about visible around the edges, but not very successful. So that's a bit of a shame on Rhodia. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.